Hi, welcome to this channel on magnetic energy, technology, principles, applications. This video is about future predictions, so this is going to get kind of out there, so be aware of that. If you don't like out there, crazy, weird stuff, then this probably isn't the channel for you. When you get involved in this type of technology, though, weird, crazy things happen. I mean, that's just kind of how it goes. It's hand in hand. And it's difficult for me to talk about trying to predict future events. It's not like, come on, really? So I guess what's happening is I'm an engineering consultant by day and a futurist by night, or something. So back in the 80s, we received really a significant, if not the vast majority of all of this information that I cover on these videos. And so there were some amazing experiences that we went through, and some amazing information was shared with us in the midst of that process. I've talked about this before, how maybe the technology attracts higher beings of consciousness, or maybe I don't know. You tell me. But there's so anyway, there was a significant amount of information that was given to us about the future of our planet and what will happen. But I'm going to say that is I you make up your own mind whether or not you think this is accurate or not, and I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I'm going to try to give a very high level approach of this, so I'm saying like roughly in the next 10 years, and try to give a bit of the order of events just so that people can have some awareness, because so many questions come in about the order of events and like what is supposed to take place. So I'm going to try to relay to you what we were given and hopefully be accurate with that delivery and that information the best I can. And so with that, during, like, if you look at our current if you look at our current situation around the planet and the volcanic activity, the earthquake activity, just those, let's just start with those, and how we have ongoing volcanic activity right now in different regions at simultaneously. And then we have very significant earthquakes that are still taking place in different regions sequentially. So it's what we're looking at is how they take place around the planet, the time frame in which they take place, and the intensity of those eruptions, and then and the earthquake activity. And then you combine that with the severity of weather that were happening, and then the solar flare cycle and the coronal mass ejections. And so as you see, like, things around the planet and our solar system are ramping up quite a bit. And so there's a lot of energy input coming into our solar system from outside of it. So there's other energies at play here. It's not just these geophysical events, but keep in mind, in the magnetic energy model, the increase of geophysical activity is a direct result of the etheric magnetic energy volume that's coming into the planet. So that pressure, anything that involves pressure, like volcanoes and earthquakes, and then even any type of intense weather patterns, can also be triggered by significant levels of pressure in the atmosphere, and literally like how we measure pressure dropping and pressure rising. So all of that those are magnetic responses. We would say those are etheric magnetic exchanges of energy that produce those phenomenon, and as that energy ramps up, those phenomena increase. So all of these signs are happening around the planet that indicate we are in a very critical decade. So these are a lot of the predictions that we were told would happen, and including lightning. So if you watch how bizarre lightning is right now around the planet, not only the increase in lightning, but the increase in intensity and different kinds of lightning that are being documented, in different, wow, this is a new type of lightning. And in particular, like high ionospheric lightning, or what's often referred to as like space lightning. So these types of discharges like in the atmosphere. And then you'll see lightning linked to volcanoes, of course, because we've got this magnetic exchange, we've got a etheric pressure exchange with the ionosphere, so you get incredible lightning and magnetic activity around volcanic eruptions, but then also around earthquakes. Have you noticed the incredible lightning displays that happen around earthquakes, like in the Mexico earthquake that happened recently, and the incredible lightning around it? And so scientists want to dismiss that, and they'll make up really crazy things like, oh, it's the rocks rubbing against each other are producing like, just ridiculous things. But if they were looking at the ionosphere and the connection between the upper rim, the ionospheric rim, and the energy rim in the planet, they would see that activity is a predictor not only of earthquakes and volcanoes, but of the lightning associated with those and the intensity that happens. There are vortices that form, magnetic vortices that are pre-lightning energy streams. And so all of that is very identifiable, and there are top secret organizations around the world that track this stuff perfectly. And I think we're okay if they start releasing that to the average meteorologist and the average scientist at a university, so they can have better equipment and have better predictability on all of that. So as you see, the culmination of all of these different events is moving, it's pushing toward what we would say like is a magnetic shift, or what people call a pole shift. So that there will be a dramatic magnetic shift or pole shift coming in the next few years. And that seems really hard to believe, because it's like, well, it could be scientists will say it's 1,000 years out, but there's such an acceleration of events that will be pushing toward that. There's other factors involved as well. Now, I'll backtrack, because I got to get into the nuclear energy for a second and how critical this is. Back when that first nuclear test went off, our planet was put on the galactic map in a big way. And now this is kind of where it gets out there. There was, at that point, according to what we were told, if you will, there was an approval for an accelerated ascension program. So, wow, the accelerated ascension program for this planet, meaning that as soon as that contamination entered into the galactic stream, and this is a interdimensional quantum level magnetic energy stream that connects our solar system to countless other solar systems, and as soon as we contaminated that stream, that sent off a whole bunch of red lights, and that accelerated ascension program was approved. And so what that means is it's basically pushing humanity, pushing this planet toward an ascension process, meaning that we get to the point where we can move into better technology, higher technology that requires a higher level of consciousness to really safely operate and use around the globe. And so we can phase out the existing technology that is radioactive or nuclear or electrical and all these other things. So that part of that is this whole process of the magnetic pole shift. So that might be like one significant event, very significant, because after that pole shift happens, that leads into a very significant global shift in consciousness and expanded awareness, a change in humanity, and a heightened awareness of oneness. So all of those things that we talk about, enlightenment, the pole shift basically has to happen first, and then we move into that enlightenment stage. Now, during this pole shift process, though, there's partly why this has to be so carefully orchestrated is because there are hundreds of nuclear power plants that cannot be allowed to go critical. And so and I've been told that this information is being monitored very carefully and very closely. And so this is one of those times where the writing is on the wall, and it's time for governments and top secret institutions, facilities, and everything like that to start incorporating the magnetic technology into nuclear power plants, so that they are ready. If anything does happen and the electrical grid goes down, they will be prepared to contain and neutralize that radioactive material with neutral pulsing magnetic fields. So it is very important at this point for that process to get taken very seriously, and and it can be done top secret. I mean, you don't have to tell the public, but that all of these facilities need to have magnetic technology in them, inside of them, ready to go to contain those rods, those radioactive rods, and to contain any of that radioactive material that could go critical. So that's huge. It's really important. And I'll just say, this is our responsibility, obviously, as humans to do this, but one way or another, all of that material will, and the radiation that comes from it, it will be contained and it will be neutralized all around the world. So one way or another, that's going to happen. I think it's better if we show a proactive thought, a proactive action to getting ready to do our part to help contain that. Otherwise, it will be done for us. And so that's just kind of this whole thing, because it's that serious that it has to happen that way. So it's going to happen one way or another. Now, as people, so you go through the pole shift, you go through like at least the beginning levels of enlightenment, and then the magnetic technology can then come onto the scene on a global basis and go into distribution and start being used to clean up the planet, used to clean up the water, the air, the soil, help humanity, provide a new power source. And so all of the things I talk about in these videos can then start to come to fruition with the magnetic technology after we go through those first couple of steps. And so then we're looking at a very, very good place on this planet. If you know, and yes, if people are contracted out at a higher level, they will go through all of that. If they aren't, then they won't, probably. But it doesn't really matter. They'll be back, and they'll be back in a much better world. So there's really, not to put, I don't want to diminish that and diminish, the loss of life and all that, but we have to, this is that time when it's really important for us to see a bigger picture and to see that we really are just incarnated for this moment, and that we have countless incarnations, and so we have to do our part and to recognize that and to kind of play that game, and to see that when we're back, it'll be much better. Things will be much better. So, and that's not supposed to be dire by any means, because this whole thing is being orchestrated so closely, so carefully, so that there is, as many people get through this process as possible. And it's interesting, because if you look at like what's been happening lately with the solar flares and the CMEs, we get these regular predictions from like space weather and from astrophysicists and stuff saying, well, here comes the CME, brace yourself, the CME is coming. What happened? Did the CME miss the Earth? Oh my gosh, it must have missed the Earth again. Well, we don't know what happened. What happened to the CME? So we're getting a taste of the testing, so the deflecting of CMEs. We're getting some assistance in this. So we're going through trial runs right now with the CMEs before the really big dogs come in. And so it's interesting to watch this process, and I know that's really out there, but there's a lot going on behind the scenes and above our skies right now around the solar system. So, as crazy as that sounds, at this point, I think the key takeaway from all of this is, with the times that we are currently in and what's happening with the economies around the world and everything, this is the time for people to come together, to express unconditional love for each other, to band together, to support each other through all of this, because together we are much stronger than we are alone. And I think it's very important for people to forgive each other, to get over old things, and to really unconditionally love and support each other through these times, because it's going to become very important. And then also to really take time to meditate and to tune in to your higher guidance, however that looks, and make decisions that are compelling you, and they will. These higher guides and this we are moving into a time when action that needs to be taken will be overwhelmingly real in us, and we'll know exactly what to do. And we may have profound dreams and profound insights. And so that's my little plug for the dream meditation that is out. Please take the time to do that and share that with others. And hopefully that will enhance your dream experience, lucid dreaming, and really help us all to tune in to what we need to know right now, because there's a lot happening. And yeah, those three little steps, it's like pole shift, enlightenment, magnetic technology, but there's 100 steps that occur in all of those, and so there's a lot of additional breakdown. And so, as guided, I will continue to try to provide information that may help you and may help us for the future. But in the meantime, thank you, and we will see you again.